Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into something really fascinating, based on the book The Numerical Miracles of the Quran. The idea is that there might just be a hidden mathematical structure, a kind of code, locked inside this sacred text. So let's jump right in. So here's the big question we're tackling. Beyond all the spiritual and moral guidance, does the Quran also contain a deliberate, even verifiable, mathematical layer? This is exactly the question a field of study called ijaz adadi is trying to answer. Okay, so first things first, let's get a really clear handle on what this concept, ijaz adadi, actually is. We're going to look at what it means and the specific method the book proposes for uncovering these patterns. The term itself is pretty cool. Ijaz adadi basically means numerical miracles. The whole point here is to look past just the words on the page and analyze the very structure of the text. The chapter numbers, the verse counts, to see if there are patterns that suggest a deliberate, almost architectural design. Now, the source material is really clear about this. What we're talking about is not the same as speculative numerology. Ijaz adadi is presented as a much more scientific approach. It's all based on a standard objective dataset, the Uthmani text of the Quran, and it uses calculations that anyone can repeat. The goal isn't to make mystical predictions, but to find patterns that, according to the authors, actually help bridge the gap between logical thinking and faith. So, how do you actually do this analysis? Well, the book introduces a very specific system for it, and it's called the unity cycle method. This method is the engine for the whole study. And for any kind of data analysis to be credible, you need a solid, consistent dataset, right? That's the key here. The entire method relies on using the Uthmani Mushaf. This is the standardized version of the Quran that was compiled way back in the 7th century. By using this universally accepted text, the analysis has a foundation that doesn't change. Every chapter number and verse count is locked in. Okay, so the method itself is just 4 simple steps. Let me walk you through it. First, you grab 2 pieces of data, the chapter number, which we'll call N, and the total number of verses in that chapter, A. Step 2, you sum up the individual digits of that verse count to get a new number, D. Third, you add the chapter number, N, and that digit sum, D, together. That gives you what's called the base value, or V. And finally, you just keep summing the digits of V until you get down to a single digit. That final number is your root, R. Theory is one thing, but let's actually see how this works in practice. We're going to apply these 4 steps to the very first chapter of the Quran, Surah Al-Fatiha, to make it super clear. All right, let's do this together with Surah Al-Fatiha. So the chapter number N is 1. It has 7 verses, so A is 7. For step 2, the sum of the digits of A is, well, it's just 7, so D is 7. For the base value V, we add N plus D, so that's 1 plus 7, which gives us 8. And since 8 is already a single digit, that's our final root, R. The final result is 8. See? Simple, transparent, and anyone can do it. Okay, so running this calculation for one chapter is kind of neat. But according to the book, the real aha moment comes when you apply this method across the entire Quran. That's when you start to see certain numbers pop up over and over again in what appear to be very meaningful patterns. The first really key number that the method turns up a lot is the number 1. And within the framework of this book, this isn't just a random result. It's interpreted as a mathematical reflection of one of Islam's most central beliefs, Tawheed, which is the absolute oneness and unity of God. Another number that shows up frequently is 9. In this analysis, the authors connect the number 9 to ideas of completion and perfection. They suggest it sort of mirrors the comprehensive nature of Islamic law, or Sharia. And then there's the number 19. Now, this one is a really big deal in this field. Why? Because it's not just a number that comes out of a calculation. It's explicitly mentioned right there in the Quran, in Surah 74, verse 30. It's been a major focus of other numerical studies of the text, so when it appears here too, researchers in this field take notice. So you might be wondering, is there actually any basis in the scripture for looking for these kinds of patterns? Well, the book points to verses just like this one from Surah Al-Qamar. And we created everything with measure. A verse like this is seen as a direct invitation to appreciate the precision and the perfect balance in all of creation, and that includes the text of the Revelation itself. Okay, this all leads to a really important question. What's the end game here? Is this just a cool mathematical exercise, or is there a deeper purpose? Well, according to the authors, the purpose goes way beyond just the numbers. So the main idea here isn't to replace faith with math formulas, not at all. Instead, it's presented as a kind of bridge, The whole goal is to use the tools of logic, objective, data-driven analysis, to uncover a layer of the Quran that the authors believe reinforces faith by showing that the rational and the spiritual can exist in perfect harmony. And this isn't just theory. The book outlines some very practical uses for this method. It's pitched as a new way to teach the Quran, to get students engaged with its structure. It's also aimed at a younger, more scientifically minded generation as a way to strengthen faith through evidence. And finally, it's even suggested as a tool for outreach and dialogue, because it provides objective, testable points that can be discussed with people from any background. So at the end of the day, what we've looked at is a really systematic way of exploring the numerical world of the Quran, a pretty amazing intersection of data analysis and theology. And it leaves us with a much bigger question to think about. When we apply this kind of mathematical lens to any ancient text, sacred or not, how does it change the way we read and understand the foundational documents of our own history?